Hey, good morning. Just waking up this side of heaven. Let's go back to the throne room, back to the future. So Jacob fell asleep. He saw a ladder, it's like a spiral staircase going up to the third heaven. And I talked about the different avenues of that. So this one is about being caught up alive. Now, when he woke up, he says, "Surely the Lord was in this place and I knew it not," which means I did not understand it. So when Paul was caught up, once a new man caught up to third heaven in the body, out of the body, I know not, which means he didn't quite understand how to explain that he was being caught up. So Jacob's ladder, Jacob put 12 stones, so one version says, and the other version says one stone. So you need to mark the place because it was the gate of heaven. But the gates of heaven have been blocked. The gates of heaven for a long time have been blocked by lies and liars. So there's a lot to say, a lot to put in here. So it's kind of hard to know which way to go. So surely God was in this place and I knew it not, didn't understand it. So surely we have to mark the spots. So the gates of hell and the gates of heaven. So the gates of hell put up a veil and have, it's like taking territory. The enemy took territory through blood sacrifice in the past and has been released, majorly released since 2003 and a half. And now we're being transformed. As we get more and more clarity, the lies are being removed from your mind, body, and soul, from your spirit, man. And that causes you to ascend and transform. So when Jesus dead, buried, crucified, dead, buried, and resurrected, and entered heaven. And then he came back alive, not dead. Now, the church people think he's dead. They think he's still hanging on the cross. They think he's gone. They think he doesn't exist, which is a lie. So the reality of God being real, God being alive in this time, I'm talking Jesus. When he becomes more and more real, the lies dissipate and you're being transformed. You're no longer earthy. You're no longer a mere mortal. You're no longer just a bag of water, bag of bones. So in this time, it's hard to keep my phone steady, so you don't have to look at my mug. Just listen to what the Lord has me say. Been caught up many times. Get revelation. See if I can rest it there. Get revelation from the Lord and bring it back here. And that causes people to ascend. As you drop the lies off, if you drop the lies off, it causes you to ascend into heaven in a higher and higher understanding state of mind. And then you'll no longer pray the lies, believe the lies, be stuck in the lies, because the Third World War is all about the lies against the truth. It's always been the lies against the truth, but now it's an understanding that the Great Tribulation is caused by lies and liars. They have control of the weather, the medical, which is snake on a stick. Time that ambulance goes by, a snake on a stick. So they took control and institutionalized humanity and barely allow us to eke out a living. But they'll allow us to get very wealthy if we follow them and do their dirty business, their dirty slime dog business. Like the rappers that are going down and the Hollywood that's going down. Now in the subtle, the devil's more subtle than the beast of the field and the bird of the air. So the bird of the air, you can see a big bird flying. Or if you saw a buffalo out in the field, you'd know it was a beast. You got near it, smelled like a beast. What come out of it was something from a beast. Yuck. Yuck. So, but the enemy's very subtle. He comes in, dresses, he's like what do they call it? The enemy can appear like a being of light. So they can appear very charismatic, very kind, very loving, and all that, but they're very narcissistic. So behind the scenes, these people are doing the dirty works, Antichrist works. So the whole Antichrist system has to dissipate. And it'll dissipate faster and faster as the revelation comes out, because then you realize what's lie and what's truth. And a lot of people say if it's not in the Bible, it don't exist. Well, why did they butcher the Bible why did they throw away the Apocrypha and the other books? We were supposed to read at minimally 80 books and then some. Because the books have testimonies. The books testify of him. The books are not him, but they testify of him. The Old Testament, the New Testament, the Third Day Testament. Now that's what we're testifying, that going up to third heaven to bring back the revelation. So we are all books, and we're all being unsealed. He's taken off the seal off of your mind, because that's the blockage that the scales from their eyes, all the different ways in the Bible says neither can they hear, neither can they understand in the past. So some people are saying the eclipse, the new moon got eclipsed. The new moon got eclipsed. The new moon eclipsed the sun. They're saying nothing happened. Well, that's a sign of what's really happening. So it's like a mirror. You're going to need to look in the mirror, because you're being transformed day by day. Through the revelation of Jesus Christ and the heart-to-heart connection, like unto an angel, you're being translated and transformed. And depending on where you're at, how fast can it happen? Well, some people are very tired in the season. They're very worn out. And I'm not talking about the ones that are getting beat up so much as the ones that just feel fatigue. Because you're in a growth spurt, a spiritual growth spurt. You're supposed to slow down a little bit, smell the roses. The Lord forces me to lie down in green pastures, Psalm 23, reread it again. So as we're being transformed, translated, and we're not ready yet. He's not ready with us. We're not ready. He has to make us ready. It says in the past, the Lord will, we'll dress up and go where we think we're supposed to go. And then in the future, the Lord will dress you up and take you where you do not want to go. Do not want to go? Well, not really do not, but are kind of fearful, unsteady, unwilling to go where he wants us. So I started the YouTube page back in 2007, and then I canceled it all out because the Lord says the people are not ready. And I was talking really fast, extremely fast. You'd have to slow it down to slow speed to comprehend it. So to bring back to Revelation and receive it, conceive it, believe it, is the prayer, the birthing prayer on your prayer burner, which is your heart. To become more and more like him as he reveals more and more of himself in us. So, said it's early, just getting coffee, break up this side of heaven. See what he may say to bring back the revelation for you. So then Paul was caught up many times. He's taught by Jesus after ascension. And Jesus appeared to many in the day. He blinded Paul that he could see. He blinded him in the natural realm so that he could see spiritually. So a lot of people, if they have eye problems, it's a spiritual eye problem that they're not ready to pull the scales off. So it's like a buffer. And then you get dementia, Alzheimer's, unresolved conflict, which is unforgiveness, even in a minute area of your being. So it's not time to empty the nursing home yet, but be ready, get ready. Because through the revelation, we will heal the sick, raise the dead, and do greater works that Jesus did by what? By believing in the heart-to-heart connection. So in Babylonian time, it said no thing would be withheld. Nothing would be withheld. But the hearts were bad. So God had to confuse the language. He had to smash the clay so that this time our hearts would become better. Good. Excuse me, they're a little indigestion. The indigestion of the revelation. Sweet in the mouth, bitter in the stomach. So don't have indigestion of the revelation. Just use that as an example. So once we are in alignment, realigned, and agree with Him, and ascend with Him into the uppermost parts of heaven to bring back the revelation for His people to no longer fear. Fear, false evidence appearing real. The fears cause us to drag anchor. Fear causes us to drag the balls and chains around like the ghost of Christmas past. So as we're breaking the chains of command from the enemy, from the legion, and entering into this time, breaking free from institutional living and understanding. It's just like, that vision, that one part of the Who Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, the Indian took the drinking fountain, threw it through the window. Now, prophetically speaking, if you think about it, he took the fountain of water, threw it through the window, and left the institution. He had an epiphany in the spirit, and threw the water fountain through the window and left, and broke free from Who Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. He was the only one who flew over it. He was the only one who broke out of the institution. So the whole world has been an institution, a learning institution, and it's been run by liars to keep us from knowing who and what we are. So you are more than what you think you are. You look in the mirror and think, like if I use me as an example, I look in the mirror and see Frederick that was born in Lansing and grew up in Turner Street and all this stuff. That's what I see, that I think that this flesh is. But you're much more than that. Because the spirit in this flesh is much more than you're allowing him to be in you. That's why when you give your life over back to God to lead you, you're being translated and transformed into it's like turning up the dimmer switch, like I say, on a bright light. God's people glow in the day and glow in the dark. Moses glowed and scared the people. Now, I've seen people glow in this time, the last 25 years. I've seen people glow in the day and in the dark. Massive, fiery glow. New Age people call it aura or etheric. And we glow in the day and we glow in the dark. God's transforming us little by little, day by day, as quickly as we allow. He don't want to vaporize us. If the rock fall on you, you'll be vaporized, ground to dust. If you fall on the rock, which is Jesus, you'll be broken and put back together. You'll be broken like a broken horse or a broken pot, so God can reform you in this time. So the reform to action, to revelate, to reveal, to activate the saints is all based on the revelation of Jesus Christ and the heart-to-heart connection. So in this time, you go back to Jacob's wells, Jacob's ladders. Okay, the spiritual side of that, the wells, we talked about being full of sticks and stones, which are people. Antichrist, stones of stumbling. If you think about a well, they throw sticks and stones and dirt in there, but then we're talking about spiritual. Now look at the spiritual signature. Stones of stumbling, sticks, people, trees, people, sticks, people, to cause you to stumble and fall into pits. Now, Jacob's ladder, he saw the ladder going up, a stairway to heaven, and it's a massive spiral staircase, but not everything that was going up and down was of God. Because in the past, the demons were allowed to go up to a certain point, and then they couldn't go any higher. Now, in this time, they're not allowed on the ladder at all. You just think they are. They're not allowed on that ladder. They just try to pretend they're allowed to go up to heaven. And some people don't understand the second heaven. It's not the second heaven. They cannot enter the second heaven or the third heaven. They can enter the astral realm or the etheric realm, whatever you need to call it. It's a spiritual realm. They can only go into the spiritual realm and see stuff and invade. So therefore, the friend of mine was in the service, South Africa, and he kept seeing these forget the name of it back then, if it was Al Qaeda, whatever. He'd see them going in and out of the psychics, the palm readers places. They were getting revelation from the psychics. Getting revelation. Excuse me. This is important, though. Enemy doesn't want me to talk, but I'm going to keep talking. They're getting revelation from the psychics, when to pounce, when to do the dirty deeds. So they're working for the sorcerers with the sorcerers. So back in Moses' time, the sorcerers were the leadership. Back in Joseph's time, the sorcerers were the ones around Pharaoh until the man of God pulled him out of the dungeon, could interpret the dream. So as God has given us reinterpret to activate us through the revelation, it's going to cancel out the liars and the lies who rule. So the sorcerers are in high places like Hollywood. Some people call it Hollywood. It's not Hollywood, it's Hollywood and Hollywood. And then all the days have been turned into Holly days instead of holy days. And a lot of people doing research on the holy days are realizing that it means so much more than the feasts of trumpets, the feast of tabernacles, the feasts. And there's more revelation into that. And it has a spiritual signature, which you have to read. In order to truly move forward, you have to read it, a spiritual book, a spiritual mind, spiritual eyes. Like what I done is I just say, Lord, explain it to me, show it to me. Take me in a vision. Every picture speaks 1,000 words. So in order to revelate, in order to see deeper, they could only write down so much. Just like Moses wrote the book of Genesis, and he didn't exist in that time. When Isaiah wrote the books of the future, past, present, future, and he didn't exist in the future or this present time. But he still exists. But what was written, he wrote about the future that he did not, he saw it, but it didn't manifest until later. He saw Jesus dead, resurrected, and everything, and raise up the desolations of many generations. He saw Isaiah 61, which is a transformation, like I said, 61, to preach the good news to the poor in spirit, the ones that have been beaten down with lies. It's not poor man. It's not a poor homeless guy. We've been beaten down with lies. We've received lies. We're deteriorating because of lies. Our body gets sick because of lies. Our teeth fall out because of lies. Our skin gets wrinkled because of lies. So the new wine is the Spirit. And it says he wouldn't put wine in old wineskins. But wait a minute. He's going to put the new wine, which is the new Spirit, within us, and it's going to transform our temples, our wineskins, our spirit. That's what he meant when he talked about becoming his body. His kin, his body, his blood, his brothers, his sisters. Who is my brothers? Who are my sisters? Who is my mother? And it's all very simple, but you got to read the spiritual signature, and that's what I'm trying to bring forth. And I couldn't do this if I tried, because I'm just trying to be available for him to speak. So in this time, you're walking it out. You're walking through the valley of the shadow of death. And you are being transformed and translated if you know it or not. Now, the quicker you yield, the quicker you surrender. Surrender, yield every day, and allow him to transform you. So the eclipse, earthquakes, when I did that one video on Friday, after I uploaded it, the earthquake came to New Jersey area. And I thought the Lord had me misspeak, because that word was not in my mind, it wasn't even on my lips. And he spoke it out, so it's kind of stunned me a little bit, okay, because right after I uploaded, there's an earthquake in New Jersey, New York. That was what they call the Big Apple, Mom's apple pie. Everybody's hoping for a better future to come in the U.S. of A., the land of milk and honey. And then back in the day, you could go claim land. You could stake a claim in land by putting a stake in the land for your land, because we are sticks. We are stones. We're supposed to be a rock of Jesus. And we're supposed to be, oaks of righteousness, is what it says in Isaiah. And that's what's happening right now. We're being transformed, translated. Every little bit of lies coming out of your pores, just dissipating as you're breaking off this old scales, this old wineskin, and being translated. Now, some people are being translated little by little and don't acknowledge it. And you're just slowing things down. And because you've been institutionalized and listened to the puppet masters that barely entered in themselves. So when I went to school to be a pastoral counselor way back in the day, so I got to be friends with the leadership there, and they were amazed because I actually believed God, actually prayed and saw miracles that God did because I prayed, and that's all I was supposed to do is pray. I'm just an empty vessel, just a flute, just to read, and I asked them why they were so in shock. He said, "Well, because they counsel pastors that are heads of mega churches of 3,000 plus members, and they don't believe what they teach. They don't even believe it. It's like Greg Locke didn't believe it. Watch he come out in the name of Jesus. He didn't believe. But God had to change him, just like Paul. Paul believed in the Old Testament, eye for an eye, tooth for tooth. Jesus himself had to blind him so that he could walk and talk with Jesus and be taught from the third heaven, from Jesus, into that time to write all those books about all those people, to revelate what saith the Lord. So now we're being, the books of knowledge are being opened of many that have gone before us. Enoch, Elijah, Isaiah, many that have gone before us. The books are being opened so that we can revelate. We can help break off your seals of understanding, because you're not boxed and canned and sealed. We're not the sardines in the can, the sealed can. So, and like I said, as fast as we can go, when you reread the book, see it from the spiritual perspective, and it's all about walking in his rest, walking in his peace. So I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. Now, the shadows and death would be swallowed up. The fire of the Holy Spirit will burn the chaff away. The demons are allowed to live, and they know they're allowed to live because God allows them to live. But if they come too close to the light, they burn up and die. It's like a moth to the flame. Moth is attracted to the light, but he burn up. So these demons know the time is short, and they know that God himself allows them to live. But they'll run at a moment's notice when people wake up. They'll run and scream. And then some of the other demons will try to scare you, scare you, and keep you into fear and bondage. So in this time of awakening, hindsight's 2020. So you look at all the fear that's being released and still being released, and then the solar eclipse. The kids couldn't go to school, people couldn't go to work. Fear. They're trying to put this massive fear up. And it was hard to walk that last couple of days because the fear that you can feel, it's not even our fear, but you could feel the earth quaking, which is the people. You could feel and sense their fear, and just take a breath and go, oh my God, why are you people so fearful? Why? Because we don't have enough God in us. We still have lies, and they prick our fears. Try to get you to fear, try to get you to bleed out fear, try to get you to freak out. And then after everything's said and done, like after the solar eclipse, it was a nice day, a peaceful day. And then they go, well, nothing happened. Well, what do you mean nothing happened? Well, God's people got an increase. The devil's people got an increase of fear. False evidence, pure and real. So I'm going to wake up a little bit more and drink my coffee. And we'll probably queue up another one because we need to nip it in this time to take off the ball and chains of fear. Quit dragging anchor. Quit dragging butt, as they say. So, hey, love you, appreciate you. Like and subscribe and share the revelation. Reread the book with spiritual eyes and understand. Amen. God bless.